Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the North of Tyne Cabinet meeting. Welcome to anybody who's watching online, to the press and public. Thank you to all of our Cabinet members for turning up. I know, apologies, we have Councillor Forbes, so he's being deputised by Councillor Bell. Welcome, Jed. And on the officer's side, Pat Ritchie is being represented by Jen Hartley. So unless there's any other apologies, can I ask, are there any declarations of interest that we haven't previously been noted of?
Chair, I haven't been informed of any declarations.
Thank you very much, John. So this is now the last meeting of the municipal year. I'm sure it won't be lost on everybody that there are a large number of local elections. Pretty much the entirety of England has elections one form or another. So it's quite significant. For anyone who's not aware, this does limit the sort of announcements that we can make in the pre-election period. And so we have an absolutely packed agenda of investments today. But it's also a year since lockdown. The work of all of the members, the officers and our partner organisations has been remarkable. The way people have pulled together, sitting with laptops on their knees in the early days, trying to keep things going. And that has been reflected. And of course, we nationally had a minute's silence earlier today for all of the people lost through COVID, which is a very sad occasion. But let's move on from that now into the meeting. The minutes of the last meeting on the 26th of January have been published. Are they agreed as a correct record?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. So this moves us on to the first substantive item on the agenda, which is our annual report. The North of Tyne were very keen on transparency and engagement, so we're producing an annual report. Now, this speaks to our first year. I've been elected for now 20 months and setting up a brand new authority from scratch, getting the team in, building the relationships, kickstarting the programs to regenerate and reinvigorate our region's economy. And no sooner were we up and running than we were hit with the global pandemic and the worst recession in hundreds of years. But despite all of this, the lockdown, staff working from home, homeschooling, all the other professional and personal complications people have, we have accomplished a huge amount. We've ensured that our work and our programs have responded to the situation we find ourselves in. And when I say we, this isn't false modesty. It's because there is an engine room of really skilled, hardworking staff working with me and the Cabinet to make all of this happen. Everybody enthusiastic about developing our region. So we've demonstrated the success of the combined authority model here in the North of Tyne. We've come together and we've already delivered in the pipeline. Bearing in mind, we have a 30-year plan to create 10,000 jobs. 2 years in, and we have in the pipeline already 3,200 jobs. We've safeguarded another 2,200 under COVID, and that doesn't include the investments that are on the agenda today. We've successfully handled the devolution of our £23 million adult education budget, which is an item on the agenda, so I'm not going to preempt anything there. And our Green New Deal is rolling out, boosting the offshore wind sector and our low carbon economy. We'll put a £5 million innovation fund to create a digital ecosystem for public services and small businesses, and put £15 million into supporting the local recovery, particularly through our SMEs. So this is a job well begun, but not a job yet finished. The mission remains the same. Despite the pandemic, we need a zero carbon, zero poverty economy. So this report I recommended to Cabinet, and I'd like to invite the Deputy Mayor, Norma Redfern, to speak. Just muted there, Norma.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Chair. Well, creating North of Tyne Combined Authority has been a journey of partnership and definitely perseverance, as you gather, with all the difficulties we had to endure in this short time. I well remember when we came together with a simple and clear goal, and that was to change the lives of our residents for the better. And I think we've tried to do that and achieved much of that this year. No journeys are ever simple, as you understand. And to find ourselves in the first year of delivery in a global pandemic has been quite a challenge. But We've remained undaunted. We're pushed for projects and programs, all to make a difference. From our small communities who benefit from Speyside to a huge program delivering skills for people to find work. From over 40 carers starting to get jobs to working with 21 organisations to create opportunities for our young people. Much needed, of course, I'm sure you would agree. From launching our Good Work Pledge to getting 24 million from government to build over 2,000 homes. Working together really does make a difference. What I see today is not the end of a journey, but another beginning. Our partnership will continue our journey of change with our businesses in our voluntary and community sector. We will work together. We will remain persistent, purposeful, but patient in our call for further devolution of powers to need, and we need to do, to shape our economic future. I think you would all agree that we have proved in the first year that progress in whatever circumstances is possible. We have received more money from governments, and I'm sure Councillor Sanderson will agree with this, it has been spent wisely. We have focused our attention on those people and communities who need it most. We have most of all seen our residents' lives change for the better. And I, for one, couldn't be more pleased. So let's work together and move on to the next lap of our journey. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Hear, hear. No, well said. I can see Joyce indicating to speak.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just to add some comments about the Inclusive Economy Board, for which there is a very, very short report included in this today. Partly to place, I think, on record, on behalf of all of Cabinet, our thanks to Bishop Christine for leading us through the last year. And also to say thank you to all of the people who volunteered to give up their time to join us on the Inclusive Economy Board to make sure that no one is left behind. And actually, that I think the commitment from members of the board is astonishingly positive. They're all wanting to do, do their bit, contribute to supporting the needs of residents in our 3 local authority areas, and that is fantastic. I think their commitment and their attendance has been brilliant, and just want to say thank you to them. And Chair, 2 areas that I know we are all really passionate about solving will be part of the discussion over the next year. One on digital inclusion, which we know has been a gap over the last year when so many of us had to move to working in the way that we're doing this afternoon. But also there will be a significant focus on child poverty over the next year from Inclusive Economy Board, and that we all know is a really crucial issue for us to address. Certainly in the city, it's got worse over the last few years, and we need to start addressing that in the best way that we possibly can. I agree with what both you and Norma have said, Chair, in relation to wanting more funding for more devolution, and we need to push on to get the resources that we need to deliver for our residents. But I'm really, really pleased to see so much positive activity that we've been, it's all about impact. It's about the difference that we're making for individuals, and I think that's really evident in the report that's before us today. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Joyce. Yeah, I would absolutely echo that, particularly the points you're making about teamwork. I know you do terrific work leading on the portfolio with the inclusive economy and the adult education. And I'm not going to name check everybody because we've got loads to do on the agenda. But do want to say that it's not just a partnership between the 3 local authorities and the various cabinet members. On the call, we have Lucy representing the LEP and the business community. We have Robin representing the voluntary and community social enterprise sector. And of course, you've mentioned Bishop Christine, and everything we do is in partnership, which might explain to some extent why we've delivered such astonishing value for money with everything we've done. We're making a strong case to government. I speak to several ministers every week saying, this is what we're doing. We've done it so well. Give us some more. We can continue to deliver more, because levelling up isn't going to happen from Whitehall. Levelling up has to be led by people in our region. Thank you very much. Does anybody else like to say anything before I? No, thank you. Well, the recommendation is that Cabinet endorses the report. Is that agreed? Just a nod will do. Thank you very much. So let's move on to item 6, which is the economic corridor around the Northumberland, Newcastle North Tyneside line, the Northumberland line. It's a very long way of describing it. This is a report. Now, obviously, there's a fantastic news that the railway line is going to be reopening. It's also an opportunity to not just reopen the railway line, but to develop the corridor around it. And Councillor Sanderson's going to present a report on this. Glenn.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, if I may just briefly introduce the report. Like you and all of us, we were absolutely delighted that we got the initial £34 million of government funding recently to get on with the Northumberland line. And we will be seeing trains moving, carrying passengers by the end of 2023, which is going to, so it's all going to happen very quickly. And it's a great project because it's going to link our towns and our communities. It's going to make travel much easier, whichever way travel is headed, either into Newcastle or into Northumberland. And it'll make the train so much better to use than cars, saving significant quantities of CO2 emissions and so on. So it is actually a great project. The next stage is the economic strategy, and that is laid out in great detail in this report. But essentially what this is about are jobs, housing and development sites along the railway, so that it isn't just a railway, it is a new hub of employment and opportunity. So in recommending this report and everything that's in it, I just simply wanted to add that the Northumberland line would not have happened, I don't think, without the support of you, colleagues within North of Tyne working together. And I'm actually very grateful for that support. And I would just hope that you can support this next stage, which is going to be probably equally important to get on and up and running. So thank you, and I hope you will be able to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Really appreciate that as well. I know it's often a bit of a cliche that we work well together in partnership, but we really do in the North of Tyne. Has anybody got any questions or comments on this report? Norma.
Yeah, well, I'd just like to say that I'm really excited about this, to be quite honest, because I remember when we first got together many, many years ago, it seems, one of the first things that I was quite surprised about, that everybody agreed at those outset that as we move forward, this was a very, very important item for our region. So I'm delighted to see how far we've come. It has been agreed. And I think Councillor Sanderson said exactly how important it is, about how many benefits it's going to bring to our region in many, many ways, to be quite honest. And for those people who, in my area, who complain bitterly that the buses really, really very rarely go to Ashington, will be delighted now that they can just go to Northumberland Park and get on and go up to Ashington to see their friends up there. So yeah, it has tremendous benefits. And as someone in the authority who actually is dedicated to bring better housing, like all of us, what a potential along that area, to be quite honest, and jobs too, absolutely fantastic. So I am joyous at this minute, Councillor Sanderson, that this is going ahead. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Norma. Here, here. Richard.
Yeah, I just want to echo what's been said. The transformation will not be seen immediately, but I would imagine prices of houses and property and business activity in that area is going to improve, and people are going to invest, and that's what we require in this county and in the northeast. So welcome it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Richard. Good points, well made. Can't see anybody else indicating to come in, so there are a number of recommendations here. The first is to note the contents of the report, which, unless anybody objects, I think we can take as agreed. We have to endorse the Northumberland Line Economic Corridor Strategy as laid out in the document. So that's agreed. That's agreed. Specifically, and this is where we do have to get right, is to allocate £500,000 from the North of Tyne Investment Fund to establish a technical capacity fund as laid out in the document. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah, that's it's the when we're spending money, I need the definite agreeds.
We definitely agree.
Agreed.
And then the fourth one is to authorise the scheme of delegations as laid out in item 4 there. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Well, that is 2 pieces of wonderful news, I think. That not only have we finally collectively got over the line the reopening of this key piece of infrastructure, is that we're agreeing how we are going to go ahead and bring the economic benefits for it. So that moves us on nicely to item 7, our investment fund update, which is a tour de force at this cabinet. So I'm going to hand over directly to Councillor Pickard. Bruce.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll speak to the North of Tyne Investment Fund report and in my remarks today and to recommend it to Cabinet. I'm also pleased to endorse the annual report of the Combined Authority, and in it we see the real progress that's been made over the last year, a year that's been long and challenging. Today is the National Day of Reflection, recognising that it's been a year since the commencement of the national lockdown, and in that time we've seen the tragic loss of life associated with the COVID virus. During that year, we as the North Tyneside Combined Authority, in partnership with our local authorities across the North East, have been able to quickly utilise our resources to support our residents, businesses and jobs. Our investment fund is used to support a number of great initiatives from my Cabinet colleagues, and today is no exception in the variety and scope of the projects you'll be asked to endorse. Our North of Tyne Recovery Innovation Fund of 10 million will bring forward a new scheme of vouchers to help businesses to adapt to use new technologies, support for the recovery of our tourism sector, and create a range of products that will ensure our places and spaces change and adapt. In this project, we are supporting our business communities to recover and adapt to the new business environment. I commend the work of my colleague Councillor Nick Forbes for re-imaging the relationship between the carbon reduction and jobs. The establishment of a £10 million fund to drive innovation in green jobs and growth, including delivery plans for a flagship North of Tyne Green New Deal fund that will support projects that reduce carbon emissions and create new job opportunities. As a result of my colleague Councillor Glenn Sanderson's enthusiasm for our emerging partnership with the Creative England, providing both investment and business support to the culture and creative sector, we are only a few short weeks away from delivering our £3.25 million North of Tyne Culture and Creativity Recovery Programme. In addition, since we last met, Councillor Sanderson has also been driving the delivery of the £4.22 million support river and portside infrastructure and our transition to clean energy, highlighting the first projects within our North Tyneside Offshore Infrastructure Fund at Swans Energy Park and the Port of Blythe. Reinventing our places is also central to our mission, and I commend my colleague Mayor Norma Redfern because we're now spearheading 8.67 million for place-based regeneration. Projects central to the North Shoes Master Plan, reallocation of the ferry landing, repair of the projection jetty surrounding the Fish Quay, the redevelopment of 3 strategic located housing sites using the Brownfield Housing Fund. Homes and jobs will make a difference to the lives of hundreds of our families. Colleagues will remember approving my recommendation to create an online apprentice hub for young people, because we know that young people have been hit the hardest by the economic downturn. Now in this report, we're looking at support for the other end of the age range. We are proposing to invest in our Healthy Age initiative, work in partnership with our universities, international business and the National Innovation Centre for Ageing. This collaboration will look at how a range of services can better address the needs such as home adaptations, mobility services and digital healthcare solutions, also to consumer products such as leisure, fashion and tourism related products, and some of these markets are quickly becoming established and others are at an earlier stage. We want to proactively build a cluster of research, business, industry and ideas with the right support mechanisms for people to come and stay here in the region. There are huge opportunities when experts predict age-related economic growth could add up to 2% of GDP by 2040. We are in the right place at the right time to accelerate this growth. We are proposing to allocate £5 million to support innovation in healthy ageing, inviting proposals that will support the translation of world-class R&D into real innovation, jobs and new business opportunities. Mayor, the coronavirus pandemic has revealed and exacerbated the inequalities in health, ethnicity, gender, education and occupation that may threaten the very fabric of our communities. Across the country, 8 million households are in debt, 6 million are being pursued for payment of at least one household bill, and 2 million are using food banks, with twice as many children dependent on them now than a year ago. The gap in life expectancy between our richest and poorest areas is increasing. The gap in educational achievement is also growing, and child poverty is also on the increase. We must respond to this growing inequality, and we must start by listening to those whose lives are ruined by poverty and inequality. I'm therefore delighted that my colleague, Councillor Joyce McCarthy, has begun a Poverty Truth Commission. We will listen, we'll learn, and we will act. Without urgent action, these gaps will widen further, and that is intolerable. Already, councillors in my own authority have expressed a great deal of interest in the Poverty Truth Commission and look forward to working with Joyce and bringing this forward for the benefit of the whole of the North East, not just north of Tyne. Our vision for an inclusive economy is real, founded in our beliefs in fairness, equality and social justice. We have invested nearly £60 million in projects and projecting over 4,000 jobs. And we have begun to tackle the very heart of inequality by the eradication of poverty. I recommend this report to Cabinet and thank you all. Thank you.
Bruce, thank you very much. What a report that is, isn't it? If we look at it, there's that headline figure, 4,130 new jobs. For the benefit of the press and public, I point out that everything we do goes through a Treasury assurance framework. These are not idle claims, these are detailed evidence-backed proposals. And so many of those, 4,130, are already in the pipeline, already happening. Richard was earlier talking about the long-term approach of a lot of things. And when we're talking about jobs, they have such a long-term effect. Bruce is absolutely right when he's talking about the long-term effects of poverty. And if we look at some of our ancient industries like the fishing, supporting the fish quay, without our investment there, that industry would leave our region. It's the last working fishing port we've got. You know, so we're not only protecting, moving into new industries, we're protecting the old ones that have sustainable futures. We're changing the lives of people. And it really does speak to that overall agenda of a zero carbon, zero poverty Northeast. Anybody else like to ask any questions or make any comments on this report? Norma.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say what an exciting, uplifting report, to be quite honest. You know, when you think of some of the doom and gloom we have gone through in the last year, and to hear that about what we've done and the way forward is really, really exciting. And I want to thank Councillor Pickard, because I think he's worked extremely hard and actually gone out of his way to sort of go into areas that for a long time have been neglected. So it really is an exciting report. But I want to say to all of you, right, when you look at the amount of money there, none of this would have been achieved had we not come together. So working together makes that big difference, doesn't it, to us all? So thank you so much. Very exciting indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Norma. Anybody like to follow that? Robin.
Of course, I won't be able to follow that, Norma, but yeah, I guess just from the point of view of the voluntary community and social enterprise sector, really, really heartened to learn about the Poverty Truth Commission work. Really keen to link up those kind of grassroots voluntary sector organisations that can help, I guess, with some of the organising of that, and appreciate these things. The last thing you want to do with any of these things is rush them, and this will be, I would imagine, quite a long, ongoing process to do it properly. But yeah, what a great aspiration to have, actually, to provide a platform and actually to learn from the people who have got the real experience of some of these issues. And I guess also really interested around the young people's work. We're starting to have some interesting discussions around the emerging needs around youth unemployment, young people's mental health, resilience, the added kind of weight that the pandemic's offered. So yeah, I guess it's great to come to these meetings and see some of the discussions reflected in things that we're talking about in other forums as well. And I think that just goes to show, I guess, how well this works in terms of how we've set ourselves up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robin. Yeah, heartily support that. Norma, have you indicated to speak again there?
I'm sorry, but I just want to take the opportunity to thank Robin, because it's been a tremendous support to get us around the local communities and get those areas that sometimes feel neglected. So that's been a really positive way forward. So thank you very much indeed. And the mere fact that we've all got problems when we come to families in poverty that have been in poverty for so long, that last suggestion or idea that we're going to move forward together, and perhaps together we can start to make that difference to those in poverty, which have been elected for so long. So I just want to say thank you, Robert. Yeah.
Thank you. Glenn.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a very good report, very solid, very sound report. I suppose my concern is what are the key constraints on us being able to make faster progress, would you say, in terms of those who most need our help?
I think I could come in on that. I think that given other schemes and experience we've had in other schemes, we do move quite fast and quite quickly. The main issue we have is the due diligence, which is quite right that it's there. And I think Jamie mentioned before, all our schemes have to go through an external adjudicator, then, you know, so they meet in with the Green Book. So the real thing is for us to have if you like, a list of reserve projects might actually help move things forward. And one of the things we found on one of the last bids that we put out was perhaps our companies aren't too aware of that bidding process and how to meet the Green Book requirements. So it might be that we want to look at, in consultation with our business development fund, how we provide support for businesses to draw up these business plans in moving issues forward.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Bruce. I mean, that comes under this economist's term, supply chain development. And I know Joyce is going to be speaking later in the meeting about, for example, the adult education sector. And part of the work is making sure that people are apprised of how they bid in, how we work, we develop the partnerships. And that essentially is the point that I always make, is you cannot level up from Whitehall. You need people here to develop the partnerships, people like Lucy, like Robin, to make sure that we are engaged. We are the community. We're directly all elected and represented from people here to make decisions here, because we're so much closer and know what's going on. And that speaks to the engagement we do with the business communities, the engagement we do with our communities, the Poverty Truth Commission, the Citizens Assembly and climate change, and everything else we do. In terms of, if there was one thing I was going to ask for government, which is not quite how you phrased it, Glenn, but it would be to deliver that report that we all supported for the recovery from COVID that went into the comprehensive spending review last year, which is something that we are, as everybody knows, actively speaking to government about and getting that. Because we get that, then that is genuinely transformational. Can't see anybody else indicating to come in, so let's run through the list of recommendations. So first of all is to note the progress to date. Item 1, that is duly noted. We've had a discussion about it. Item number 2, this is where it gets to spending money, to approve the funding of £1.5 million for the North Shields Fish Quay Protection Jetty Refurbishment Project. Is that agreed?
Great.
Thank you. Item number 3 is a funding of £750,000 to support the relocation of the North Shields ferry landing.
Great.
Agreed. Item number 4 is just to note the progress, but also including the in-principle approvals for over £6 million for Smithstock, Tyne Brand and Unicorn House in North Shields.
Great.
Agreed. North Shields doing very well today. Number 5, confirm the £10 million allocation for the Recovery Innovation Project as laid out in detail in the report. Is that agreed?
Great.
Thank you. Number 6 is to note the progress in relation to the digital adoption North of Tyne programme. including the support for SMEs, resilience, and the inclusion of a dedicated offering for the VCSC sector. Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Number 7, to note that our Green New Deal fund will be operational in summer 2021, where the £9 million of NTCA funding, leveraging the total £18 million for our net zero and jobs objectives.
Agreed.
That takes us on to number 8. There's a lot of them today. Note the progress on the North of Tyne offshore subsea infrastructure programme, specifically including actually the Bates Clean Energy Terminal in Blyth and the redevelopment of the Swans Energy Park along the Tyne. Agreed.
Agreed, yes.
Agreed.
That's 2 very good long-term projects there. Number 9 is to note in the detail of 1.8 of the report, our healthy ageing economy sector. That's in the appendix, and as Bruce said in his introduction, there's a £5 million allocation for that. Is that agreed?
Agreed, yes.
Number 10 is the delegation to the Director of Economic Growth in consultation as laid out to make the bids into the Community Renewal Fund and the Levelling Up Fund, and in this and future rounds. I'd agree.
Agreed.
This is one of those things when you have to do it, you have to do it quickly. So number 11 is to receive future progress on the Poverty Truth Commission, as we've described.
Agreed.
And number 12, to authorise the final conditions as delegated there to the staff to bring all of these things to happen.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Oh, need a drink of water after that. Item number 8, the adult education budget update. Now, this is to provide a report on the update of the provision that's been delivered so far. So I'm going to hand over directly to Joyce McCarthy.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm really pleased to bring this report, this update really. It does a couple of things. It gives us an update on what we've done with the £23 million that was devolved to us. It gives us a little bit of an update on how COVID has impacted upon providers of skills support for adults. And it brings forward the skills plan so that we can look forward to what we want to use the devolved money for in the next year, and just to check out with providers and others that that's moving us in the right direction. So, Chair, this I think it's another one of those exciting reports really that we've been given this resource that we wouldn't have had access to had it not been we were a combined authority devolved to us. So I think, you know, this demonstrates the value of devolution in my view, Chair. We did also, of course, get an extra £1 million devolved money this year to invest in high value courses and what are called sector-based work academies, which is a bit of a mouthful. But all of that was a government direction, in a sense, to supporting young people through this pandemic. So, you know, I think that just reiterates, Chair, the amount of work that we've had to do to make sure we're doing the right things for people in our region. The Combined Authority also secured an extra £1.6 million, which is an allocation to the new Lifetime Skills Guarantee, which commits support for any adult who hasn't got an A-level or an equivalent, a kind of level 3 qualification, to ensure that they can, an adult can have access to that support at no cost to themselves. It would be offered to anyone who hasn't already achieved that level of qualification. This will be accessed from April onwards this year. So we've been given the resources. We're working out how we support adults in accessing that support, and we're hoping that lots of people will sign up in the summer term. We've used the flexibilities that have been given to us in relation to the funding rules. That includes the kind of rates and eligibility work too, to make sure that the funding that we've got access to can be targeted where it's been most needed. We've secured provision based in the heart of our communities, so not just through the colleges, and of course colleges in the region have been supported, but also through local innovative programmes that previously might not have been that's supported through adult education funding. The devolved adult education budget is part of our investment in the whole skills system, and it will have a significant role in supporting the region's recovery from the pandemic. We've been working closely with providers to make sure that the high quality adult skills offer is available to as many people as possible, and make sure that we're focusing on achieving outcomes that directly link to the potential job opportunities. And Chair, we've heard so much from Bruce and his report to us today that it's quite clear that we need to be working collectively to make sure that the drive from North of Tyne is taking us in the right direction. And we know that providing that support for our residents improves the quality of their life and ensures that employers in our region can access residents with the right skills to help their businesses grow and to thrive. Chair, there's quite a lot of detail in the report about the impact of the pandemic. We are closely, well, the team, and when I say we, I use the term very loosely, Chair, because I do mean the team who are behind us doing all of the work for us. But they are monitoring and working with providers to ensure that they're getting the right level of support. You know, we have invested already in digital devices to enable adults to continue their learning even when it's not been able to be face-to-face. And so that ensuring that vulnerable learners in particular have one-to-one support, I think has been really important for some residents across our patch to make sure that they could continue accessing the right level of support to keep them engaged in the whole learning process. But we know that places being closed, opportunities not being available will have impacted on both the learners' access to learning and the teachers' access to teaching. So we know that there has been an impact from the series of lockdowns and the different ways that we've had to work. Chair, I've mentioned that we've now got the updated strategic skills plan, which sets out the ambitious programme for the future skills development opportunities. We're putting it out early because we need providers of the support that is being offered to understand the sorts of skills that we're looking for them to deliver. And I think that's a really, really important part of our programme to make sure our money is being invested in the right way. So we're setting out the key priorities. We're making sure that this all fits with, Chair, I think you mentioned earlier that our submission to government about the recovery and renewal plan. All of this is heading us in the right direction. So I'm really pleased to bring this report today, which demonstrates that the devolved adult education budget is already providing positive outcomes for people in our area, contributing significantly to a more inclusive economy across the 3 local authority areas in North of Tyne, and the positive impacts on addressing inequalities are there for us all to see. I'm very pleased to present this report today. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Joyce. Really appreciate that. We got the national funding for this devolved to us on the 1st of August 2020. And there's always a worry in central government when you devolve something to the regional authority like ourselves, how we do it. Not only have we had to deal with this through COVID, which is not the time you would choose to be engaging with developing a new devolved approach to adult education. We've done it. We've worked with the suppliers to make sure that these courses have continued despite all of the restrictions. We've achieved better value for money. We've got more people coming through. You know, it's just such a testament to the way it's happened. And exactly as you said, Joyce, so much work goes on behind the scenes that, you know, members of the public often don't see, but the team we've got behind us, they are doing such terrific work. I just want to say a big thank you to them. Anybody got any questions or comments on this report? Norma.
You know, I'd have to say something because this is a very exciting day for me, to be quite honest. But I just want to say thank you to Joyce, to be quite honest, because one of the things that we have proved, I think, is that having the funding that help and support to go where it's needed, and we can monitor and we can see where the changes are happening. It's certainly different from when it's directed from national level, to be quite honest. We've said for some time as leaders and knowing the areas, we are quite aware where the greatest need is, and having this funding enable us to deliver that. So well done. So thank you very, very much. And of course, we have all our other partners around the table today, and they help us too to get into those areas of great need. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Norma. Glenn.
Yeah, I mean, I just really wanted to say what a useful bit of work this is, because I'm not sure how it would happen if we hadn't done it, if you see what I mean. I think it's really useful and very valuable for me to build on and to learn from. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, well, on this report, this is very much about the progress and the management of it rather than additional spending commitments. So the first item is to note the progress as laid out in item 1, which I'm assuming we can all happily agree.
Agreed.
And the second one, item 2, is just to note the strategic skills plan and endorse that approach.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much, everybody. So this takes them on to item number 9, which is the Mayoral Ambassadors Review. So this is just a report for a review of the first full year of the Mayoral Ambassadors role for the voluntary community and social enterprise sector. Proposes an alternative way of working with the business ambassadors role, and John Softly is just going to very briefly present this.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think I've got much to add to what you've already said. The report essentially proposes that the current arrangements for mayoral ambassadors continue as they are working well. Therefore, the first recommendation is that Robin Fry is reappointed as mayoral ambassador for the voluntary community and social enterprise sector. And as you said, Chair, with regard to the business sector, again, it's recommended to effectively continue with the existing arrangements. And so rather than appoint a single individual as mayoral ambassador, it's proposed instead to hold mayors' business stakeholder meetings on a quarterly basis. Chair, they are the recommendations, and Ruth and I are happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, John. Just for bringing anybody in, it's not always apparent to the outside world the amount of work that goes on. But I wouldn't say a massive thank you to Robin, who's done a terrific job. Now, the sector that he represents over the past year has been knocked for six in so many ways. New burdens, new ways of working, terrific financial strain on many of those organisations. And the way he's navigated our engagement with that sector has been absolutely superb. He's also just a wonderful booster of morale in the boards and the meetings that we have in terms of bringing people together. So thank you, Robin, doing just an absolutely cracking job. And on the business side of things, I speak pretty much every day, one way or another, to the business community or different parts of it. So we thought rather than any one person representing that community, we will continue to work with the business organisations at CBI, the Federation of Small Businesses, the Chamber of Commerce, who we do so much work with together, and directly with different sectors. And of course, on the board, we have Lucy, who represents the North East Local Enterprise Partnership. So would anybody like to comment or ask any questions? Robin?
Yeah, I haven't got an acceptance speech prepared, but yeah, I guess just to say that the voluntary sector stakeholder group is developing some real momentum, particularly thanks to the support of officers within the combined authority. And yeah, I feel like we've made some great progress in terms of how we communicate with the sector, how we do engagement, representation, co-production. So yeah, I think there's an exciting year ahead in terms of how we can push some of this on. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Yeah, and that obviously has already resulted in, and there are many more in the pipeline, real solid investments that are making a difference. The VCSE sector is a massive delivery partner for us. Lucy.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to lend my support to your proposals around the business ambassador role. I think it's probably working well. Like you, I have very regular meetings with Chamber, CBI, FSB, etc. There are more groups. If it'll lend support to you for me to attend your quarterly briefings, I'm very happy to do so. It's not often someone puts their hand up and says, yes, please, more meetings. But if I can help just in that liaison, very happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucy, and I may well take you up on that offer. Can't see anybody else wanting to indicate to speak. So the recommendations are, first of all, to agree to extend Robin Fry's term of office as in item 1, which I can't see anybody objecting. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. And the second one is just to agree the changes to the appointment of the Mayoral Ambassador for Business as set out and described.
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you very much. The date and time of the next meeting is the 8th of June 2021, and that's going to be at 2 p.m. That will be our annual general meeting, and of course that will be after the next round of local elections. So wish everybody very honest and open campaigning. I can't wish you all luck because we're of different parties, but let's have a good clean campaign, I think is the way I would say it if I was a boxing referee. The only other item after that is we do have to go briefly into a private session because there are some confidential minutes to agree. So can I just ask Cabinet to agree to the exclusion of press and public resolution? Oh, sorry, Glenn.
Thank you. Just before you move there, because this is the last meeting of this Parliament, as it were, I just wanted to say, as very much the new boy, and Richard is obviously a new boy as well, how singularly interesting I found North of Tyne. I didn't have a great knowledge about the work it did and the people that were working within it, or the politicians indeed. But can I honestly say that whatever happens after the election, I hope Northumberland continues to play a very active part within North of Tyne. But really just to say thank you very much for the friendliness that you've shown to me, which I really appreciate. So that was all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Glenn. And thank you very much both to you and Richard for really engaging with this. I know you came in with no notice, and you've really put your shoulders to the wheel and been terrific advocates of the Combined Authority and got stuck into your role. So thank you very much for that.
Can I echo that as well, Jamie? Because I really enjoyed the North of Tyne and the people, and I think I have had a change of opinion.
Thank you.
But I might not wish you luck when you come to your election, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see. It's been 6 short months and you already think I'm wonderful, so we'll see what happens, Richard. Thank you very much. So the thing that we actually do have to, for legal purposes, agree, can we agree to the exclusion resolution?
Agreed.
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 So we'll just wait until we're taken offline.